Breaking news, breaking news, breaking news. Yo, check it out. I want y'all to understand that the feds is watching the Pooh Shiesty Gucci Man video, but they looking at it under a different set of eyes. I'm gonna break that down so y'all understand what I'm talking about and the eyes that they coming at you with. Because this is so real that you gotta catch this, man. All right? All right, you already know. Hey, yo, we gonna break this down. And let me take the music out real quick, right? Because I want y'all to really hear what's going on for the next 30 seconds, right? This is how they playing them out right now.
Tonight, court documents reveal new images of rapper Pooh Shiesty allegedly robbing Gucci Mane in Dallas. These pictures from a court filing show Pooh Shiesty, whose real name is Lontrell Williams Jr., and his alleged accomplices. The person with the black box over their face is Gucci Mane, whose real name is Roderick Davis. Williams and several others are accused of robbing Davis while armed in an attempt to get released from a record deal. Pooh Shiesty isn't due in court until next year.
That's how real this is, so you understand, right? I want y'all to sit back. Let's get the music back in here real quick, right? I want y'all to sit back and take this ride with me. Right? Y'all like to ride, we're gonna take a ride. The Pooh Shiesty and Gucci Man video, it ain't just footage. This ain't just some old rap label disagreement. This ain't just two men arguing over business. This the kind of video the streets watch one way, but the feds watch a whole different way. And I'm gonna break down the difference in how the feds see certain movement. We see it as standing on business. They see it as evidence. Now, right, the streets might look at it and say, Pooh was standing on business. That was street code. That was don't snitch pressure. That was loyalty. That was morals. That was principles. But the feds might look at the same room, the same pressure, the same energy, and ask a whole different set of questions. Was Gucci Man being forced? Was somebody blocking the door? Was a weapon being used to control the situation? Was this business or was this extortion? Now, right, that's the danger. One video, two different languages. The internet sees drama, the street sees code, the feds see changes, or should I say charges, in an indictment. And Pooh Shiesty got to sit in the cage while everybody else debates what that video really means. But before we go any together, we're gonna need further out. We're gonna have to give you a jewel to see if you're paying attention. The streets might call it standing on business, but the courtroom might call it federal pressure. Now, drop your jewel, which is a comment, if you really see where this is going, because I'm gonna take you down a real dark ride. Remember that. Let me make this plain. The same video that makes somebody look real in the streets can make them look dangerous in court. The same words that could sound honorable outside could sound threatening in front of a jury. The same room that felt like a business meeting can look like a crime scene once the feds slow it down. Now, let me explain that crime scene to you, Ron. Simple meeting, two brothers from the street, they both about it, that's goo-wop. They decide to go to the studio, they go to the studio so they could have their little business meeting, they could drop some lyrics, Gucci Man bring the cameraman, and it's a nice setting. But in the dark side of Pooh Shiesty's mind is, we gonna go to this joint, we're gonna case the joint, we're gonna put them at the door, and we're gonna light it up, and this is how we're gonna make our move. But if you from the street, like Gucci's been rapping all this time, you don't get caught butt naked or with your pants down, where you ain't got nothing. And I was telling, let me take a ride, right? I'm gonna take a ride. We're gonna take a ride. I was telling somebody the other day, right, I was hanging out with, I ain't gonna say no names, right? I said, in this world, you have to have something on you because you never know when somebody might do something. Even if it's something as simple as a razor blade or a pen, something that you intend to use for some type of defense, because you never know when a lunatic might come at you. I'm not promoting violence. I'm just saying that this is the trauma that comes with being on the street, that you feel like you need something to defend yourself, which is crazy because that's what got Carmelo Anthony to the situation that he's in. But what trauma did he have to make him believe that he needed to carry a knife, period, much less to school? Or what trauma have I been through that make me feel that I gotta have a pen in my pocket and have intentions in my mind as I'm walking around that I'm gonna use it as a weapon if need be? That's trauma. And that's the trauma we're trying to prevent you from, walking into by telling you these experiences so you understand. Now, right, that's why this Pooh Shiesty situation is bigger than gossip. It's bigger than 1017, it's bigger than Gucci Mane, it's bigger than rap. This is about the courtroom translation of street behavior. When the government starts translating street code, they ain't translating it to help you. They translated it into charges. The streets might say he stood on morals. The courtroom might say was somebody under duress. The streets might say he stood on principle. The courtroom might say was fear used to get what he wanted. That's the trap. And that's the trap we're trying to give you right here so that you don't walk into it. A man can think he protecting his name, but the court might say he was applying pressure. Because Pooh Shiesty felt like he was protecting his name, felt he was being robbed. And Gucci felt like he was protecting his name, he wanted to go to court and take it on paperwork. A man can think he's standing on business, but the feds might say he was building their case. A man can think the room respected him, but the prosecutor might say the room fed him. Now, got to give you the jewel in that. Got to give you the jewel in that, right? You better know how your actions sound in court before you perform them in the street. Now, the street code got a federal translation, and that's what we're gonna talk about. We're gonna talk about the federal translation. I'm getting ready to interview a brother that I'm gonna bring on the show. His name is Tommy Walker, one of the best prison attorneys that there ever was. What's the name of your site, Tommy?
Second Chance for Real. .com.
So that's it. If you ain't get it, rewind it, because we're gonna bring him on. We're gonna put it at the end. But anyway, this is where it gets serious. The street code sound one way to the block. It sounds another way in court. Outside, a man say, we don't tell. In court, they say, was somebody being warned not to talk? Outside, a man say, we handling that in-house. In court, they ask, was somebody trapped in that house that you handled it? Was someone in fear of their life if they went to exit that house? Outside, a man say he knew what time it was. In court, they ask, was he afraid? You see where this is going? Outside, a man might say, we was just talking business. In the court, they might ask, why was a weapon around the conversation if you were just talking business? That's the federal translation. The street got one dictionary, the courtroom got another dictionary, and the courthouse dictionary is the one that sentenced you. That's why the youth gotta understand this before they get caught up trying to prove that they're real. Real don't matter if the charge stick. Solid don't matter if the footage hurt. Loyalty don't matter if the evidence make you look like the aggressor. Morals don't matter if the courtroom say your morals came with fear. Principles don't matter if the feds say your principles became pressure. Now, right, y'all ready for the jewel in this? Let me know if y'all ready for the jewel in this. All right, everybody in class. Oh, before we go any further, man, look, they don't like this type of content getting out, so what I need you to do is I need you to hit the like button, hit the emoji, put a little comment in there, tell me how you love the show, tell me how you hate the show, say something, because we need that to balance the algorithm so they can push me up so we get this message out to the youth, because you say it want to be there. And I already know I'm certified. I got my little 100,000, thing, I like just throwing that away, you know what I mean? Because they say now it don't mean nothing. Now they need you to comment, like, and, all this crap in order to keep it moving, all right? But now, let's take this ride. We gonna take this ride. Now, the street can name the move, but the law can name the charge. Unique Mecca audio twist number 1, right? The feds don't care what you meant or what you intended to do. Here go the first Unique Mecca audio twist. The feds don't care what you meant. They care what they can prove. They care what it looked like. They care how the room felt. They care what the person on the other side says they experienced from your actions. You might say, I wasn't trying to kidnap nobody. They might say, could the person leave freely? You might say, I wasn't trying to extort nobody. They may say, was fear used to get something? Now, you may even sit back and you might say, that was just street talk. They may say, street talk was pressure. This way a lot of street dudes get jammed up, right? Because they think their explanation is enough. They think once I tell them what I meant, they'll understand. Anybody will understand. Nah, it don't go that way. The feds ain't there to understand your culture. The prosecutor ain't there to understand your slang. The courtroom ain't there to understand your ego. They're there to build the cleanest story. The cleanest story they can put in front of a jury. And if their story sound cleaner than your explanation, you got a problem, young man. If their timeline sounds stronger than your memory, you got a problem. If the video make more sense their way than your way, now you really got a big problem, right? Got to give the jewel in that, because we like to ride. You meaning don't save you if your actions give the prosecutor a better story. Don't snitch culture. That gets dark when the feds step in. That's what we're gonna talk about. The don't snitch culture when the feds step in, man. Now, let's talk about real heart of this, right? Don't snitch culture, because this is where the streets get emotional. Everybody got something to say about telling. Everybody got to say, keep your mouth closed. Everybody say, stay solid. Everybody say, we don't call the police. But the federal pressure changes the air in the room. Because now, that don't snitch talk ain't just code. It become evidence of intimidation. It become evidence of control. It become evidence that somebody was being warned or pressured or made to feel like they had no choice. This is what the streets hear, right? We don't call the police and think of honor. The court hears it and asks, was that a warning? The street here don't tell and think loyalty. The courts hear it and asks, was somebody being silenced That's the dangerous part. I'm not saying don't have morals. I'm not saying don't have principles. I'm saying understand where you are. Because the street might respect a sentence, but the court might use that same sentence against you. And once they put it in paperwork, now your code got a court date. And that's why we got to hear the jewel. Don't snitch. Talk might protect you, right? It might protect your reputation outside. But in the court, it sounds like pressure. If you tell someone don't snitch, the courts hear that as you pressure them not to tell. Federal pressure, don't yell. It stacks, it adds up. Don't go up against them, you're not gonna win. I know, they gave me life plus 20. I did 26 and a half years off of it. I say it again. Thank God for the Honorable Donald Trump that everybody hate. You know what I mean? He looked out for us. You know, and a lot of my comrades is out here. And I'm gonna give him a round of applause. I'm gonna give him a round of applause. All right, calm down, y'all. Calm down, because we riding. Calm down. I say that because you might not agree with everything that a person do, and you might not like everything about a person. But you have to now to take the good with the bad and then outweigh the two and see which one weigh more than you to see if you deal with that person or don't deal with that person. But that's just the balance of nature. All right, but let me get back to this. I'm gonna talk about the federal pressure, ain't street pressure. Street pressure is loud. Federal pressure is quiet. Street pressure wants people to see it. Federal pressure waits. Street pressure happens in the room. Federal pressure happens in the discovery of the paperwork from the evidence of the case. The feds stack slow. They don't rush to do nothing. Look how long it took them to run down on Young Thug. Look how long it took them to run down on my black butt. Now, when they stack slow, they stacking with video, audio, phone records, location data, text messages, group chats, witnesses' statements, social media posts, timelines, motive, intent. Then they put it all together, piece by piece, paper by paper, exhibit by exhibit. And now your lawyer ain't fighting one thing. Your lawyer fighting a whole machine. You know what it's like to fight a machine? I had to fight a machine with an 848 kingpin charge. That's the part the young homies gotta understand. The feds don't need to scream at you. They don't need to yell at you. They don't need to tell you to pull your pants up. You're sagging. They don't need to argue with you. They don't need to prove they tough. They just build the wall around you. And by the time you see it, you already inside. Now, the jewel in that, right? Got to hit the jewel. Street pressure last minutes, federal pressure can chase a man for the rest of his life. Now, I'm gonna give you a Unique Mecca audio twist too, right? I'm gonna give you a second twist, right? The phone is the first snitch. That's the first snitch in your case, is that phone in your hand. The first snitch ain't always a person no more. Sometimes the first snitch is the phone. The phone don't need a deal. The phone don't need protection. The phone don't care who's solid. The phone don't care who's famous. The phone don't care what block you from. The phone just tells it all. The location, the camera tells, the messages tell, the deleted videos tell, the screenshots tell, cloud backups tell, metadata tell, group chats tell. A man could say, I don't cooperate, but his phone already cooperated. A man could say, nobody told, but the camera already testified. A man could say, we kept it in the streets, but the data dragged into a courtroom. That's why I keep telling young people, stop recording your downfall. Stop filming pressure. Stop making evidence look cinematic, because y'all work those phones like magicians. Stop letting your own device become a witness against your freedom. Because once the phone gets into discovery, It ain't your phone no more. It's part of the case. Let's get a jewel on that, right? Because we like to ride. We like to ride. You could follow street code, but your phone don't. The dark psychological cell. What the cell starts talking back, right? This is when the cell starts talking back, right? We got to get into that, right? I like giving you all that and all this, right? Man, I've been on here 20 minutes already, man. I apologize again. I apologize again. I know y'all didn't want to stay after class, but I think it'll be a good class. Sit back, hit the like, hit the emoji. Matter of fact, just wake the hell up. Hit the like button. Hit the like button. All right, relax, y'all. I decided to change the background up, right? Now, let's talk and go inside that cage, because this is where Unique Mecca audio separates from everyone else. Everybody else talk about the footage. They talk about the man after the footage. Everybody else talk about the charges. I'm talking about the thoughts behind the charge. What's going on in Pooh Shiesty's mind behind these charges? Pooh Shiesty can say, I'm good. He could sound strong on the phone. He could laugh for his people. He can tell his family, my lawyer got it. He can act like the pressure ain't touching him. But when that phone click off, the cells start talking back. The walls start talking. The bunk start talking, the indictment start talking, the footage start talking, the years he's looking at start talking. And now the mind starts running wild with you. Who said that? Who saw what? Who recorded what? Who might save themselves and tell on me? Who might change the story up to make me the super bad guy? Who might put it on me? Who really sat down? Who smiled, but they're really scared? Who's loyal until the plea offer comes? That's the dark psychological cell. That's the cell inside the cell, the one the cameras don't show, the one the fans don't hear, the one the tough talk can't quiet down. I mean, when your mind starts talking to you, it's like everything comes running in at once, and then a million answers come, then a million more questions and a million more answers, and you're sitting there and you're trying to just stop all these thoughts from running wild, like they breathing in your head. But let me get to the jewel in that. The cage locks your body in, but the unknown locks your mind inside. The unknown of knowing what's gonna happen next with this whole situation that he put himself in. Now we're gonna talk about the night pressure. When I'm good, ain't good. You know how you call and say, man, yo, you all right? Yeah, I'm good. Nah, it ain't good. At night it gets different. That's when the noise die down. That's when the jokes stop. That's when the phone call's over. That's when the tear gets quiet. That's when a man lay there staring at concrete. 3 walls and a solid steel door. Thinking about one room, one video, one argument, one move, one weapon, one doorway, one bad decision, and now his whole future is sitting in somebody else's hands. That's a dark feeling, because the internet could log off. The bloggers can move on to another topic. The fans can argue and go to sleep. But the defendant can't log off from the cage. He gotta wake up with this case still pending over his head. Eat with the case, shower with the case, sleep with the case, dream with the case. And sometimes the case wakes him up before count time. That prison pressure. That's mental pressure. That's the dark room where no amount of street fame can save you from your own thoughts. Now, got to give you the jewel in that, Ron. The public gets highlights, the defendant gets nightmares. Now, let me give you another twist, Ron. The real contract was freedom. Here go the third Unique Mecca audio twist. Everybody's talking about the label contract. Everybody's talking about 1017. Everybody's talking about who owed who. Everybody's talking about getting released. But the real contract was freedom. Freedom got terms too. Freedom says control your emotions. Freedom says don't bring weapons into business. Freedom says don't let pride make label decisions. Freedom says don't let the homies turn a meeting into an indictment. Freedom says don't let 5 minutes of power move cost you decades. That's the contract young brothers keep violating. Then the system revokes their movement. Now, the prison tells you when to wake up, tells you when to eat, when to shower, when to move, when to stand still, when to eat, fart, defecate. I was in a prison that I had to ask permission to have another man outside the cell push the button to flush my toilet. So if I defecated and the man didn't walk by, my toilet didn't get flushed. And I had to smell my celly's feces floating around the cell. You know what that's like when you can't breathe because you're inhaling human feces and it gets in your throat and you're gagging? That's the dark psychological cell, trying to escape just that smell alone. Now, they tell you when to stand still, they tell you when to count, they tell you when you could visit your people, when they could come, how you could hug them, kiss them, touch them, how far you got to sit away from them. Now, they even tell you when the door can open and tell you when it can't open. That's why fighting over a business situation can cost you your freedom. So that's where Pooh Shiesty was wrong. Because once freedom is gone, every other deal looks small. Once your body belonged to the system, the contract was mad about don't even feel like the main contract meant anything anymore. Now, the jewel in that, Ryan, I've been on here long enough, so I'm ready to get up out of here. Now, don't fight so hard to get free from a deal that you lose your actual freedom. Standing on business or standing in front of a judge. Let's talk about standing on business. Because that phrase got young people hypnotized. Everybody say it now, stand on business. But standing on business don't mean crashing out. It don't mean threatening people. It don't mean bringing weapons into rooms. It don't mean letting the ego talk for you. Real standing on business is discipline. Real standing on business is control. Real standing on business is knowing the difference between respect and evidence. Real standing on business is knowing when to call a lawyer. Real standing on business is keeping your freedom. Because what good is looking powerful for 5 minutes if you powerless for 20 years? What good is making somebody nervous if your mother's nervous every night? What good is winning the room if the government wins the case? Everybody in the room look at you like you the man. The government wins the case. What good is proving you're real if the proof becomes an exhibit? That's where grown man thinking comes from. A young mind wants to win the moment. A disciplined mind wants to survive the consequences. And if the moment costs you much, you got to walk away from the moment. Standing on business without wisdom is just standing in front of a judge. Loyalty versus sentencing guidelines, right? Let's talk about that. Loyalty sound beautiful before the guidelines come out. Everybody's loyal before the discovery come. Everybody's loyal before the plea offers. Everybody's loyal before the lawyer explains the numbers. Everybody's loyal before they hear words like mandatory enhancement, constructive amendment, or guidelines. That's when the room changes. That's when we turn into my client. That's when brotherhood meets paperwork. That's when silence meets survival. That's when a man starts wondering who's really good, who's scared, who's tired, who's trying to go home, who's blaming who really talked without calling it talking, who's trying to separate themselves, who's telling their lawyer, I was just there, I didn't do nothing. That's the pressure co-defendants cases bring. You thought the crew made you stronger, but sometimes the crew just give the feds more doors to knock on. More phones to search, more stories to compare, more fear to work with, more pressure points to push. And that's where the jewel come in. I feel I've been on here long enough. Everybody screams loyalty until the years start getting divided. The room becomes the case, right? Everybody in the room becomes the case, a part of the case. Here go another Unique Mecca audio twist, right? The room becomes the case, not just what was said, the room, who stood by the door, the who held the weapon, the who looked scared, the who looked in control, the who was recording, the who was talking, the who was silent. All of that matters. The room don't disappear when everybody walks out. The room comes back in discovery. The room comes back to scream. The room comes back to testimony. The room comes back with the prosecutor narrating it. Now the jury ain't just looking at what happened. They look at how it felt. Did it feel voluntary? Did it feel like business? Or did it feel like fear? Was Gucci Man free to move? Was he free to say no? Was he free to leave? Or did the room tell a different story? That's how fast the whole thing changes. The same room that gave somebody confidence outside can become the same room that make them look guilty inside a courtroom. The same room, right? The same people that made a man feel protected can become your co-defendants. The same camera that made it feel official can become an exhibit. Now, the room just thought you controlled can become the room that counts your future. The room you thought you controlled can become the room that controls your future. The family sentence, right? This is how the family gets sentenced as well. And don't forget the family, because the family gets sentenced too. Not by the judge, by the consequences. The mother gets sentenced to worrying. The child gets sentenced to absence. The woman gets sentenced to waiting. The siblings get sentenced to updates. The family gets sentenced to phone calls, visits, money orders, court dates, bad news, and unanswered questions. They gotta act strong. They gotta say, keep your head up. They gotta pretend they ain't scared. They gotta hear the pain in his voice and still give him hope. That's a sentence. That's why one bad move don't just hit the person who made it. It hits everyone around connected to him. The mother don't get her peace back. The child don't get their years back. The family don't get to pretend everything is normal. And that's the hidden cost the street don't show. The street shows the pressure, the street shows the money, it shows the chains, the images. But it don't show the mother after the visit is over and she have to leave her child behind in the barbed wires. It don't show the child asking when daddy's coming home. It don't show the family breaking down when the phone hangs up. But I gotta give you the jewel, then I'm out of here. All right? I can go on all day. When you gamble with freedom, your family pays the ultimate debt, right? Then we got the ego. Been on here. This is gonna be too long, man. I've been on here long enough. So I'm gonna tap out real quick because I gotta interview my man Tommy Walker real quick. You wanna sit here and say something to the people real quick? Tap out. Sure. Let them know what's coming up next. He coming over here, let you know what's coming up next. All right. Bear with me. Here we go. All right. Let me get a little intro. Tell them who you are, man, and what you're doing. Let them know what's going on, what we got coming up.
Hello, how you doing? My name is Tommy Walker. Approximately 6 years ago or so, I was in a federal pen. I had 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole. I went to school while I was incarcerated. I got my paralegal degree and stuff and certification, and I was able to help and assist a lot of people while I was incarcerated as far as getting them home, back to their families and to their loved ones and stuff like that. A lot of stand-up guys that took on the system and was willing to fight that challenge where other people took the easy way out by cooperating and becoming a part of the government team and helping put the black families and breaking up the black families and putting them incarcerated for life and a lot of mandatory sentences.
Hey, what's going on, man? Murder Mook, Harlem, you know what it is, man. I just want to express how much gratitude I got for Unique, you know what I mean? I was telling him a story, telling him how I felt about, if anything was to go wrong with my career, rap-wise, if, should be slow, and I got so many opportunities to be able to do the wrong shit. When I watch Unique Mecca audio, I feel it, and I to my soul, and that's keeping me farthest away from doing anything criminal. Anything criminal. He made me think straight, honestly. Made me think straight, because I've been watching him for about a year, a year now, maybe, and it just took my mind way off of that. From a year ago, it got rough. For a year ago,
Yeah.
and from watching this man, I just felt like you saved me. You saved me. And I just want to show my gratitude, and I want to say thank you, man. Unique Mecca Audio, anything you need, brother, from me.
All right.
Anything you need, man.
All right.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
What?
Fresh out the
can of 26. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, make an audio.